Hey developers, and welcome to today's explainer. If you've ever looked at your web app and thought, man, I really wish this felt a bit more alive, then you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're diving headfirst into mastering JavaScript timers, which are the absolute key to handling time-based events.
So what actually is a JavaScript timer? Well, fundamentally, it's a built-in method used to execute your code either after a set delay or continuously at specific intervals. They are literally the engine behind interactive user experiences, taking those plain, static pages and turning them into dynamic interfaces.
Real quick, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with an introduction to JS timers, look at executing once with set timeout, repeating actions with interval set timer, managing logic and loops, controlling timers with clear interval, and we'll wrap it all up with a quick summary.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Introduction to JS Timers and how they make the web dynamic.
Picture a slick, modern website banner that automatically cycles to a new image every few seconds, or maybe an alert box that just smoothly fades out so it doesn't clutter up your screen. That is timers doing the heavy lifting. They dictate exactly when your logic fires, which puts you in complete control of the user's journey. Moving right along to Section 2, executing once with set timeout for delayed actions.
You see, set timeout is absolutely your go-to solution when you need to trigger a function exactly one time, right after a specific delay. Imagine you've got a hidden welcome message, and you want it to gracefully fade into view exactly 3 seconds after the page loads. We do this by using our timer to apply a new CSS class called show, which smoothly transitions the element's opacity from 0 to 1.
The syntax here is super straightforward. It takes just 2 parameters. You write set timeout, you pass in the specific function you want to execute, like in this case, show message, and then you pass in the delay.
Now here's a crucial little detail. JavaScript timers operate in milliseconds. So to get that 3-second delay we just talked about, we actually pass the number 3000 into the method. It seems really basic, but getting this wrong will throw your timing completely out the window.
Okay, so set timeout executes once, which is great for single events, but what if you need something to happen over and over and over again? Well, that is exactly where we pivot to our next core method, interval.
Which brings us to Section 3, repeating actions with interval to create infinite loops.
You're going to use this method whenever you need indefinite repetition. Think of something like a live data ticker. To really visualize this, let's say we write a script that targets a plain white square, and we want it to change its background color every 3 seconds. We want it cycling from red to blue to green to pink. Notice how the syntax is practically identical to set timeout. We just call inner set time, pass in our change color function, and set that same delay to 3000 milliseconds. But the behavior? Totally different. JavaScript is now going to trigger that function every 3 seconds, indefinitely.
Next up is Section 4, managing logic and loops to prevent errors. Now, as you can probably guess, when you're cycling through data repeatedly, things can get a bit complicated. In our color example, we're iterating through an array of colors using a counter variable. Every single time set interval fires, it adds 1 to our counter, letting us grab the exact next color in the array. 0 is red, 1 is blue, and so on.
But hang on, what happens when that counter hits 4? There isn't a color at that position. To stop the whole script from crashing, we use a really simple conditional check. If the counter is greater than or equal to the array's length, we just reset that counter right back to 0.
Our source material actually emphasizes this as a professional best practice. You have to ensure the counter resets once it reaches the end of the data to loop back and prevent errors. Without this logic, your script goes hunting for array positions that literally don't exist, and boom, your app breaks.
All right, Section 5, controlling timers with interval clear, or as I like to call it, stopping the clock.
Look, giving your users a way to halt an infinite loop is absolutely essential for your app's performance. And you do this in 3 easy steps. First, store the timer in a variable. Second, trigger an event. And third, execute clear interval.
That first step is incredibly important. By assigning our interval to a variable, let's call it myTimer, we are essentially creating a dedicated controller. If you just call setInterval loosely without assigning it to anything, JavaScript doesn't have a handle to grab onto so you can turn it off later.
So, once we have that controller set up, we just wrap clear interval, passing in myTimer inside an event listener, like an onClick event, for example. Now, the second a user clicks that element, the interval is cleared out.
The color changer stops dead in its tracks, and control is handed right back to the user.
And finally, Section 6, let's review our JavaScript timer summary and core takeaways. Just to really lock this foundation in, you're going to use set timeout when you want a piece of logic to run exactly once after a delay. You'll use set interval when you want code to run repeatedly on an infinite loop. And always remember to use clear timeout or clear interval to stop those timers when they're no longer needed.
So, take a look at your current projects. Which static element on your web page are you going to bring to life with a timer first? The tools are officially in your hands now. Get out there, add some dynamic behavior to your sites, and happy coding!